Hey Josh, it's Monday, and I'm back in my room. I think this is the first video in 3 weeks that I've been up here. But yeah, so first off to answer your question from last week, I don't remember how many accents you did. I think it was around 8 to 10, somewhere in that area. I forgot to count last time I watched it, but yeah. And then for the second part of your question, which will probably end up being what most of this video will be about, I have a few voices that I like to do for a lot of characters. So obviously I have my normal voice. I don't typically use this one, or like my normal sort of speaking voice. I have some that are sort of a variation on my normal speaking voice that I do, but like, this one's one that I kind of do a lot, where it's just that sort of bit lower, kind of talk out the corner of my mouth a bit more. This is my sort of a more questionable character. For example, this is the voice that I use for my character, Edric Ilian, who, he's got a lot of secrets that he keeps. He knows how to go about how a typical assassination will go. Don't ask him how he knows. He just knows. But yeah, so I use that for my swashbuckler as well. Edric is my he's just a rogue for Pathfinder. So he doesn't have an actual archetype, but I'm sort of going between thinking about doing assassin, but I don't really want to be an evil alignment. But I've also thought about doing master spy, so I might be doing that. I don't really know. I'm not even sure if I want to go prestige class. I might just go full rogue the entire time, or who knows, maybe I'll multi-class into a different one of them, because, you know, multi-classing in Pathfinder is actually useful. But yeah, so that's one of them that I use a lot. I also have my sort of British voice that I used for people like Zephyros, for example, used this voice. He's probably my favorite character to play, just because, oh boy, his wisdom was garbage. But he had a 6 wisdom, but he had a 16 charisma, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 16. But yeah, he was a fun character to play. He's the one that unfortunately died. And now I get to use Cyril, who I'm not sure on his voice yet. The original voice that I was going to be doing was a higher pitched, sort of more Irish-sounding voice. Well, it's sort of this one, where it's like, not exactly sure you know what you're talking about there. But I don't know if I can keep that consistently. And also his character is pretty edgy because, of course, he's a warlock, a fallen ASMR warlock, so of course he is. So I've also thought about using sort of this voice for him, where it's sort of the, sort of has a bit of a venom to it, if that makes sense. But yeah, so there's those, then obviously I have my gruff dwarf voice, where it's like, yes, I am Dwarf Man, stereotypical Dwarf Man. I also have very loud and bombastic strongman characters. I had Thotham, who was a Goliath Eldritch Knight, and I used this voice for him because he was just happy to be there and proud to be a part of this party. He was a very passionate character. I had a lot of fun, and I'm kind of upset that he was only for a one-shot, but oh well. I also have a couple of female voices that I can do. I have this sort of voice where it's sort of the, a little more of a tomboyish female voice. But then I also have this one, which is a little more gentle of a voice. This is the typical voice that I'll use for any female clerics, for example. Whereas this one's the sort of one that... Ah, shit, I lost it. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear, but... Oh, well. But yeah, this one is the sort of voice that I use for my little more tomboyish female characters, like I said. But yeah, that's a lot of fun to do. Also, I think it's slightly different than my British voice, but it's a little more nasally, but No, it's hard to do a lot of these consistently and like that. The only ones that I can really do that for are the sort of out of the corner of my mouth voice, and this voice I can do pretty consistently. I've actually thought about talking like this all day a couple of times while at work. I've actually asked my coworkers, like, if I just started talking like this all day, what would you guys think? But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's more voices that I have. Oh, I have my main antagonist's voice, which is just a lot of fun to do, and unfortunately I'm a little out of practice with it, but it was sort of this kind of voice where it was a little gravelly, but at the same time having a certain amount of charisma behind it, which I love his character. He is one of my favorite characters that I've ever made. I'm also thinking about doing, I have a Ghost Walker, Ghost Slayer. I have it here. No, that's the wrong one. I can never remember the name of it, but it's one of the Blood Hunter orders, of the undead one, and, he is half dead, because of course, he's a Blood Hunter. But yeah, so I'm sort of thinking about using this kind of voice for him. It'll be very hard to keep consistent, but being a character that was legally dead for a few hundred years, it sort of makes sense to use this kind of voice for him. But yeah, that's gonna be a hard one to keep consistent just because that really does mess with my throat. I haven't read up much on it, but I'm gonna be running Rime of the Frost Maiden for some of my friends, so I'm sure I'm gonna have a lot more practice with a lot of those voices. But yeah, so I enjoy doing voices. I'm also not great at it, but I'm not gonna get heavy into voice acting right now, so I don't think that it's really necessary. So yeah. I guess those are most of the voices that I can think of right now. I'm sure I can think of a few others given some time, but I don't want to make this go over with me going like, a lot, trying to think of a lot of words, or, there I go, a lot of voices. But yeah, so I guess that'll do it for this video. So Josh, my question for you is right back at you. How many voices did I have there? I honestly don't remember. I think it was 7. Those are the 7 voices that I'm kind of consistent with. So that'll do it for this video. So Josh, I will see you on Thursday. I had to think about that one for a sec. Later, bro.